Hello. I know you've been a Christian your whole life, so I would love to interview you on the topic of Christianity.
Okay.
So, just want to start off. Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So, what do you picture as God then, if you believe in Him?
I kind of picture it as the way I've grown up, kind of talking to my grandmother, who's a really devout Irish Catholic, kind of as a spirit and just a bigger person or thing. I don't know necessarily. I've never really thought too deep in it because I've kind of just followed her lead and thought about it as a bigger spirit. But I do believe there's someone or something up there listening and that helps us and guides us all through life.
Okay, sounds good. So when growing up, like, did you for your whole life you went to church and so talk about that, like your experiences at
Okay.
church when growing up.
It kind of stems from like how my family was like raised and stuff. My father's mother came right from Ireland, so they were very, very strong Catholic family, Irish Catholic family that ended up going to Newfoundland and then came to Boston. She's part of a huge, huge family. All went to private school. My dad's generation, so my dad and his sister were the first to go to public school, so that was kind of a step away. Not necessarily away, but that wasn't just strict Christianity running through our family. But we went to church every Sunday for the most part throughout my childhood, or as much as we could go. Sometimes it gets hard. When I'm with my grandmother, even to this day, I typically go to church with her. It's a lot. She's a great role model for me because she showed me that no matter what life throws at you, like your religion and your faith can always be there for you, and through tough times and things like that, she's always kind of stuck through it. And even like, for example, during COVID and stuff, something I used to always do is watch mass with her since she wasn't able to go in person to mass. Like, she still always kind of has done it. So growing up, we went to mass a lot with our grandparents too and my cousins. It was kind of just something that brought us all together. I went through CCD and all of the classes and everything, and I was baptized and First Communion and Confirmation. I've been on some retreats that have kind of allowed me to explore who I am in the Catholic Church, and I feel like it can have a different definition for different people, if that makes sense.
So, like, on a different definition, like, do you think you could still like be a good Christian and believe in God without going to church or going on all these retreats and stuff? Like,
I mean, yeah, I think that the Lord and the Catholic faith, not necessarily Catholic, but just Christianity is always there no matter what. And so I think that, you know, the more you fit it into your life, the more rewarding it will be for you. And that's kind of something my grandmother has always said. However, I think that if you have made it a part of your life at some point, when you need to, it's always going to be there.
so, well, so on the topic of like church, on going there, do you like know any benefits or like, like of going to church? Like, you listed some, like going with your family, like it's a good time to get everyone together. Like,
Yeah, I think it's also, I mean, it's a space for me even just to kind of ground myself, kind of reset. It's a space to think about and reflect, but also think positively and look in the future and kind of mirror the values and the concepts present in Christianity. And I always find a really great part of church when we're there is I love listening to the homily. I think it's a great way to tie into like the Bible and the what do you want to call it, the roots of the Catholic Church, but also into a modern present kind of moment or way. They kind of like embed modern things into like relating it to the Bible, and I always find that really interesting. And more as I've grown up, I've kind of taken more away from that part of the Mass. I also feel like when you kind of have a moment in Mass, they walk you through like things to pray for and stuff like that, and then you have that moment where, you know, whatever's on your mind, you get a second to kind of think about it. And I always find that a really reviving part because it's kind of just me, and it's kind of like everything outside those church doors is kind of just put on pause, and you're able to reflect and kind of think of something that, you know, you want guidance for. Obviously in faith, you know, the Lord is not always gonna like grant all your wishes, but more like I look at it as something that you want guidance with, something that you're hopeful for, something that you kind of value.
Okay. So is the homily your favorite part of the mass, or is there any other part that you really like more?
I do like the homily a lot. I mean, as I've matured, just age-wise, I've been able to kind of relate and understand in depth more the different parts of the mass. The gospel is still sometimes difficult for me to understand. A lot of times after the mass, I'll ask my grandmother, and she can paraphrase it for me really well, which is special. But I like the homily a lot, and I like yeah, I would say the homily, and I like the prayers. I think it's kind of just accepting the guidance that the Lord and the faith has to offer to you. And
So speaking about the gospel, like, what is your favorite story that you've heard, like from church or like from your grandmother?
Like prayer wise,
or like more stories of like in the New Testament, Old Testament.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
Okay, so in the Bible, there's in Matthew, I don't know the exact number, it's something about when God believes anything is possible. And that one stands out a lot to me, because if you can have a positive mindset and kind of remember that your faith and those you love and those who are involved in your faith with you, like your family or whatever, if you can use that as a motivator, that anything really is possible. And I think that's an important verse. I've always thought about that one. I actually used that one in my confirmation.
So, okay, so on the topic of confirmation, did you feel like that was a big moment in your life? Was it like exciting to you?
Yeah, it was definitely exciting. I mean, you're a high school kid, and you're kind of like turning that corner. It was kind of the corner you turn towards adulthood, kind of prior to college age. It definitely kind of just almost felt like it was the turning point too, and really understanding the purpose and the meaning behind faith. I feel like, not that I didn't appreciate it when I was younger, but it was just like that maturity, that bridge. So it was important to me. And because everyone in my family prior to me had, you know, done it, it was something I had looked up to and something that I certainly wanted to do.
All right, so that's cool. So we're gonna change topics a little bit.
Okay.
Just want to ask you, is there a heaven you believe in?
I think so. I think for sure.
And what does it look like to you?
I mean, I think when I think of heaven, I definitely think of the soul going to heaven, not necessarily, I mean, that would be great if there was an afterlife, but I definitely think souls that kind of have shined on their time here on earth, definitely they have some kind of, I don't want to call it a reward, but kind of at peace, some kind of afterlife.
So you feel like that that heaven's not really like someone going up there and it's like a great time for them, it's more like just like at peace with life, and do you think you get to like reflect on your life in the afterlife, or do you like...
I mean, I like to think that when you're in heaven, only the good shines through. That's something that my grandmother and I have talked about a lot. My grandfather passed away about almost 3 years ago, and something we'll always kind of joke and say, she'll say, oh, don't do that, don't turn the heat up, like Papa's watching. And then she kind of reminds me, but in heaven, or at least from her point of view and the way her family was raised, you only see the good things. You know, it's a positive place. It's a place where only the good shines through. And in your afterlife, you know, after living a fulfilled and successful life, that you get to really just see the good and reflect the good and look down on the good. So
Gotcha.
kind of go with that.
Okay. So since you believe in heaven, do you believe in hell?
I mean, I personally think it has something to do with the soul. Maybe not necessarily hell, but maybe the way I think of it is if perhaps you don't live a fulfilled and successful and kind, gracious life, that maybe you won't get that opportunity to be in heaven.
So what would hell like look exactly like for you? Or
I mean, I've never really thought too deep in it, because I try to keep myself in a positive mindset, but perhaps just not getting the opportunity to be in heaven. And I think that's the ultimate goal for many people after
Gotcha.
they've lived a life that is worth living.
So,
Or if something tragic takes them, like
mhm.
after going through something or just where they're destined to be, that's the better place you want to be. So I feel like, not being able to be a part of that ultimate goal kind of is I don't want to say a punishment, but kind of is speaks for itself.
Okay, so now we're gonna change topics more on the Bible. Do you think like the Bible stories are like figuratively or literally like they've actually happened? Like, do you believe in like some of the stories like Jesus turning water wine and stuff like that?
I think both. A lot of times I think back to the Bible when Jesus washes all the disciples' feet, and that's something that is done a lot in certain masses, I believe in the springtime, maybe towards Easter.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I always think back to that one because was it literal? Yes, I do believe it was literal, but at the same time, that act of washing the feet is just kind of metaphorically kind of speaks as to like giving back and kind of just taking care of those you love. And I think that's a big part of Christianity and Jesus as a figure.
Gotcha. So speaking of like figuratively, literally, also the characters like the disciples, Jesus. What do you think about that? Like, real or not, or like figuratively or literally?
I think so. I like to think so.
Okay.
It's almost like when you don't know any different. When you're a child and you're going to catechism classes, and learning from the adults in your life that are practicing Catholics and things like that. The way it's explained is kind of you think and you know what you've been taught, and what I've been taught is I feel like that yes, there is some truth to a lot of that.
Okay.
And I feel like there's no reason, I don't know, not no reason, but like I have no problem like believing that because
So that's gonna be the final questions. A pretty big one.
Okay.
Why do you believe in something you can't see?
I believe in something I can't see because I think that faith and I think that is bigger than life. And I think that in order to get through life, you have to believe in things bigger than yourself. Because if you believe in things bigger than yourself, you are going to make an impact on the world. And I feel like without faith, a lot of things in the world would be different. And that's respectively to all the kinds of different faiths, like culture and faith kind of go hand in hand. And I feel like without faith, my family wouldn't be where we are today, figuratively and literally, in the United States, in Boston and Massachusetts, but also just kind of it's what got us through hard times, and continues to get us through not only hard times, but really the good times too. Whenever something big happens, my grandmother always says, make sure you thank God for that. And, of course, and are you necessarily thanking some person? Maybe, but it's more just thank that spirit and thank that faith that runs through all of us for giving you opportunities.
Okay. Good job, Kate. That was a good interview.
Thank you, Sal.
Thank you.